open-mindedness, rationality, irrationality, emotionalism. I've been thinking a lot about these things lately. I'm actually quite happy that I've put up this video on the Venus Project, and all sorts of Looney Tunes have started coming out of the woodwork and commenting and bashing me for being close-minded and for, you know, not having an evolved consciousness, unlike them, I assume. Well, let me deal with that. Here's how I see it. You have a person who's presented with some kind of end state, a picture of the future, utopian future, that appeals to him or her. Let's say it's a he. Appeals to him. He likes that end state. He likes that non-existent society, be it the society described in the communist writings or the Venus Project or whatever. And he sees that picture and he says, damn, I want to live there. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Is the core theme. God damn, wouldn't it be nice? And they like that picture and they spend time looking at it and they like it more and more. And once they like it, they attach some moral significance to it. They believe that it would be right to have that end state, and therefore it is wrong not to have it. What they don't do is they don't analyze what is this end state, what is this utopian state predicated upon, and are those things viable? Are they real? Are they true? For example, wouldn't it be nice to have a society where there's no scarcity, where there's total abundance, and people are nice to each other, and they don't go to war over resources or anything else, and they don't have racism or any kind of prejudice, and just live in harmony? Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, it would, I guess. I don't know. Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say yes, I like it. And an impressionable, emotional person will soon start to believe that it is right and just to have that society, therefore not to have it, i.e. status quo, is unjust and wrong, morally wrong. And also, the theory that promises you that utopian state must be correct because its outcome is morally right. You see? They don't examine the premises. They don't examine the theory. What if that theory is based on premises that are not viable, that are not part of reality? Let's say, wouldn't it be nice to live in the, in this huge cities in the clouds, and to have no waste and to not pollute the environment because there is no waste, because we just magically break down all the waste and it doesn't go into the environment? Wouldn't it be nice to have floating cities that don't occupy real estate on the ground? Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah, but these things are predicated on the impossibilities. On one impossibility, sustained flight with no expenditure of resources cannot happen, because you have to work against some very real force, gravity. You have to work against it, and to work against it, you have to expend material. The other thing is, you cannot have no waste. To degrade everything is, at least with the state of technology that we have today and for any foreseeable future, not going to happen. So these may not be the perfect examples, but you may see what I'm getting at here. If you like the outcome that is promised to you too much, and if you're too emotional, if you don't examine the premises and the theory that promises that outcome, then you'll become so attached to that end state picture that you will be totally irrational. That kind of person, they come to you and they say, the Venus Project promises great society, total happiness for everybody, and no scarcity and no suffering, and yeah, okay, fine. And how do you get there? And they tell you, well, you just you abolish money, you abolish government, you abolish armies, and everybody lives happily ever after. And you go like, whoa, 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 whoa. And that's going to happen how exactly? And you start looking at their premises, and they just don't hold water. But the kind of person that loves the Venus Project will not listen to you. Because, you see, they have bought hook, line, and sinker the theory because they like the outcome that the theory promises. They like it too much emotionally. And for them to question the theory or the worldview that promises them that outcome, for them to question that is immoral. They cannot apply reason, evidence, history, empiricism to that. They cannot do it. Incapable of doing that, okay? So to argue with something like that is impossible. You ask them, so how do you account for human nature and self-interest? Oh, there is no human nature. There is no human nature. There's only human behavior. You see, people are nasty to one another because of scarcity. Remove scarcity, create total abundance, and people will be nice. Well, first, we know empirically that that's not true. That more scarcity and more poverty does not equal more immorality, and the conversely, the presence of more abundance. More abundance does not mean more morality, and does not mean more just behavior. No, we know that from life, from reality, and also, how do you create this total abundance? If there was a way to create that total abundance, wouldn't we already have done it? So they never explain how they're going to get there. They base that outcome on the number of premises that are simply not true. They're not found in reality. They're not supported by reality. But they will not argue those points. They can't, and they don't need to. You see, they feel that they are right. They are morally justified in believing something that cannot be believed, if you're rational. But it's their sense of moral justification that allows them to ignore logic. That kind of person is impossible and useless, a complete waste of time to argue with. Don't do it. I try to spot these people as early as I can, and I either stop talking to them, and if they persist and bug me with more comments, I just ban them from the channel, because I don't want them to waste anybody's time here. They will not be convinced unless and until they're mugged by reality. The one thing that they need to realize, I was just talking to my wife about this, and I think, okay, so they tell me, oh, my consciousness is not evolved enough to understand the beauty of the vision of the Venus Project. Okay, fine. Their consciousness obviously is evolved enough. Question: do they act in accordance with that perfect moral vision that they have? Do they act like that every day of their lives? Do they exhibit some kind of human nature? Our built-in need to follow and fulfill our own self-interest, to be happy. Do they not see the contradiction in their daily lives? How do they account for that contradiction? That's the only way you're going to convince anybody. Okay, their consciousness is already evolved. They see the beauty of the vision of the Venus Project. They want to live there. If only everybody was like them, then the Venus Project would become reality, right? It's wrong, but they believe it's right. Well, is that supported by empirical evidence? Do they act in their daily lives in accordance with that perfect utopian vision? No. That's the only way I think you can try and drive a little wedge to crack that wall of emotionalism and to let the reality in. But they may not be willing to go even that far. So I say forget it. Don't talk to them. You can't convince them. They start at the wrong place. They quickly arrive at a very wrong place. But since they're blind to everything but their own emotions, they're blind to reality, they're blind to evidence, they're blind to history, they're blind to reason, they're blind to logic, you cannot talk to them. You cannot talk to them. You have to become like them to talk to them. And you don't want to become like them. Okay? That's all I have to say on the subject.